Breaking news, just in. Listen, 6 of those passengers are being sent home to isolate. Yeah, you heard it. Check this out.
6 British passengers from the Hantavirus-stricken cruise ship have finally been cleared to return home. Since coming back to the UK on Sunday night, 20 British nationals and 2 other passengers were taken into quarantine at Arrow Park Hospital in the Wirral. The 6 passengers have been allowed to leave following negative tests for Hantavirus and absence of symptoms and having a suitable place to spend the remainder of the 45-day isolation period with daily check-ins from health teams. Others will likely follow soon. It's a French passenger who fell ill during repatriation from the ship is being kept alive by an artificial lung or ECMO machine, the option of last resort for the severe pneumonia that hantavirus can cause. In fact, the virus has a fatality rate of 25% or more.
The U.S. has not been involved in this response at all, with the exception of being involved in repatriating the 17 Americans who were still on board the cruise ship. And that is a big departure from outbreaks in the past. What happens when it's the next time and it's not hantavirus? We are going to be really harmed as an international community.
Hey, y'all. So I'm on my way to my appointment, my pre-op. And I saw a news article before I left the house, and I'm sitting in traffic right now because they're building something over here, and I'm praying to God it's not a data center. I mean, they've torn down trees like, nobody's business. A lot of trees. Neither here nor there. What I just read was absolutely insane. Like, are we really...
Ay, no, qué porquería, chiquita. Qué linda, se me re suavecito. Chicos, se quedó ahí.
I want y'all to hear me out. A lot of people are panicking right now. I don't want you to panic. What I'm about to tell you is just a game that they're playing on us right now. Now, the hantavirus is a real thing. It is happening. People are getting sick, and every single day, multiple times a day, we're finding out more people are infected. Okay, so as things go on, people are wondering, well, why is the U.S. doing their isolation different than what other countries are doing theirs? If you weren't aware, we are not a part of the W.H.O. anymore. We pulled out of that. The U.S. pulled out of that earlier in the year, okay, around January. That means we don't have to follow their protocol. Now, you can call it a coincidence, but y'all know I don't believe in those. So, coincidentally, we pulled out of it. Then all of a sudden, we have hantavirus going on, meaning we don't have to follow strict protocol like other countries. We can be a little lax on the things that we do. Now, are they being a little lax here in the United States compared to what other countries are doing with keeping people in isolation for 45 days or more? Yeah, we are.
Strict isolation until further notice, with full tests and medical checkups now taking place. That's the message from the French Prime Minister after one of the 5 French people flown back to France from the cruise ship struck by a deadly hantavirus outbreak showed signs of and has now been confirmed.
This person was on the cruise ship, returned yesterday, took a turn for the worse and has tested positive for the hantavirus. So this is a patient with the hantavirus who is being treated at a hospital specializing in infectious diseases, where the rooms are equipped with advanced technology designed to provide a high level.
Because the people that went to Nebraska, they have an option. It's not mandatory. They don't have to stay there. So while that guy who came out with the crime video, who looks like he's reading something from a script,
almost feels like he's reading something.
We're not just a story. We're not just headlines. We're people with families, with lives, with people waiting for us at home. There's a lot of uncertainty, and that's the hardest part.
We're not just a story, we're not just headlines. Kind of almost looks like he's looking somewhere else as he's talking. And my question is, with 150 people on board and 3 confirmed people who have passed already from this virus, how is it that we're not getting more footage from other people from what's going on inside the ship?
Seems very happy to be living it up on the government's dime in these hotels that they have them quarantined in. They don't have to be there. They can go home.
Passengers who are asymptomatic, who have not tested positive, is it safe to let them go home? And can they fly commercially, or should they drive?
That's the big question. My personal opinion, they should not fly commercial. But we were told yesterday, our medical unit, that they would not be flying commercial flights. But the question that we don't know is how long they will stay in these quarantine units. Yesterday at the press conference, federal health officials shared that the patients, or the passengers, would be tested on a regular basis. And those passengers that wanted to stay for the 42-day period would be allowed. And those passengers who would essentially be allowed to go home would be screened first on a personal risk assessment basis. And that seemed to be based on their personal health as well as their ability to safely quarantine at home.
and they can be around their family members. Yeah, I just thought I'd share that little part because what I'm about to share with you right now is absolutely insane. We're living in the twilight zone. We're out here traveling to where the Hantavirus ground zero is and playing around with mice, having them in our hands like our name is Michael Jackson and the rat named Ben. What are we doing? What are we doing here? I gotta show y'all this. That's what just happened. A teenager, a influencer, went there and took pictures and videos of her holding the mouse in her hand. And it didn't run away. It was just sitting there like a lot of people saying it looked like it was sick. What is happening? What dimension are we in right now where we can do this? And then the guy from the CDC who's in acting right now, because they fired everybody out of there, he's saying when he was asked the question, can you guarantee? And I'm saying to myself yesterday when I saw it, there ain't no guarantees in life or nothing. I didn't think he was going to say it, but he said it.
There are no guarantees in life. We're putting as many measures in place as possible to ensure that people are safe and healthy, and we keep the community safe and healthy as well.
In case it wasn't clear, he's talking about the Hantavirus. And speaking of that, 18 Americans are back on U.S. soil after being exposed to the Hantavirus on that cruise ship. 16 of them are in Nebraska and 2 are in Georgia.
I'm Grace Haba, health reporter with WREL in Raleigh, North Carolina. Here's the latest information that we're learning from the state. Around 4:30 this afternoon, our state health department, NCDHHS, confirmed one North Carolinian was on board the Hantavirus-affected cruise ship. This passenger is among 16 who were taken to Omaha, Nebraska for quarantine after they got off the ship. Now, we know that at least one of those passengers is symptomatic, but it's unclear based on this information we're receiving from NCDHHS if that is also the same person from North Carolina.
So we might start seeing more Hantavirus cases around May 19th, according to a doctor. Apparently, all Generation 2 cases, those are involving people who develop symptoms after direct contact with patient 0. It took an average of 22 days to become sick. In previous outbreaks of this Andes strain, the peak time of symptom onset was 22 to 28 days. Let's take a minute and pause and remember that the U.S. is going to let people go home and contact could have taken place on different days. Anyways, the doctor goes on to say that May 19th is a good date to watch for if cases continue beyond that point. And those will be Generation 2 and Generation 3 cases. Specifically, we're referencing the contact cases that they are following from the passengers that disembarked on the 24th. Now, those would have been Generation 2. Anybody that they came in contact with and possibly passed this on to would be Generation 3. So back to what I was saying at the beginning, this Dr. Stephen Quay believes that around May 19th is when we could start seeing more of these Generation 3 cases popping up. And if you look at what a lot of these other countries are doing, they are forcing isolation, while the U.S. is just assessing and sending people home if they're still symptom-free.
To be crystal clear, the risk of hantavirus to the general public remains very, very low. The Andes variant of this virus does not spread easily, and it requires prolonged close contact with someone who is already symptomatic.
So what's considered close contact?
Typically, we're talking about exposure specifically to bodily fluids, and that could include things like saliva. So if you're sharing eating utensils, kissing, touching, those type of things.
This is the kind of crap they were coming out with. This is what they said to the people. Just to only come back and say, well, excuse me, yeah, you can get it from this, that, and the third, and maybe 6 feet. Well, 6 feet is not a thing, but just to be safe, here we go.
It also mean just being really, really close to that person for a fairly long period of time. So we're calling that 6 feet for at least a cumulative number of 15 minutes. I'll be clear, there's nothing magical about 6 feet. It's not a force field, but it's a rough number that gives us a sense of how close somebody has been. 15 minutes, again, it's a bit arbitrary, but it again gives some sense of how close someone has been.
It took the U.S. government so long to issue a hantavirus alert in the U.S. days after the World Health Organization issued their alert.
This under control, and we're not worried about it.
But the CDC took 4 days after the WHO issued its, alert. Why was it? Why did it take the US 4 days to issue an alert?
It's not true. As soon as we determined that the virus was out there, we issued an alert. The alert means nothing because all the people.
I saw the alert too. Give me a break. They acted very, very quickly.
Again, let me refresh your memory. The United States decided they wanted nothing to do with the WHO, meaning we will not get our data when other countries get their data. We will have to rely, we the citizens are going to have to rely on what our government is telling us. And it may be different from what the W.H.O. and the other countries and the information that they have coming in.
Withdrawing from
What is this?
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization.
Ooh, that's a big one. To assess the World Health Organization's role in severely mismanaging and covering up the spread of the coronavirus.
On Thursday, the United States formally withdrew from the World Health Organization. We made this decision to reclaim our independence, to protect American sovereignty, and to free our public health policy from a system that no longer serves the American people. The World Health Organization has lost its way. It's drifted far from its founding mission, and it's become mired in bureaucracy, in conflicts of interest, and in international power politics. During the COVID pandemic, those failures weren't just abstract, they were deadly. The world watched as transparency collapsed, accountability disappeared, and ordinary citizens paid the price.
So in layman's term, it just means we don't want to do what the World Health Organization says. We want to give our citizens what we want them to know. We're going to do things how we want to do them. And that way we can't be policed because we are independent from the WHO. There is no guarantee. And y'all know we ain't a part of the WHO anymore, so why y'all acting like we're going to get the information on time? We're not getting that information on time. They're never going to give us that information on time. The WHO, which we know who's running that, really.
Considered close contact.
Typically, we're talking about exposure specifically to bodily fluids, and that could include things like saliva. So if you're sharing eating utensils, kissing, touching, those type of things. It can also mean just being really, really close to that person for a fairly long period of time. So we're calling that 6 feet for at least a cumulative number of 15 minutes. I want to be clear, there's nothing magical about 6 feet. It's not a force field, but it's a rough number that gives us a sense of how close somebody has been. 15 minutes, again, it's a bit arbitrary, but it remains symptom-free. But then also, do they have all the structures and support to be able to continue that period at home, making sure that they can be able to isolate in a separate part of structure from anybody else, make sure that they can contact their health department, get tested if necessary if they develop symptoms.
It's almost like they want this to spread, isn't it? But we cannot live in fear. We have to live in preparedness, and preparedness is in getting things done in your home, maybe starting that garden, maybe doing the things that you've been putting off doing, and just living your life as regular as you, regular smuggler as you can, I guess. But why are we going to visit rodents? Why? I'll see you. I gotta go, gotta pay attention, gotta get this pre-op done because I'm having surgery in 2 weeks, but wanted to come on with a quick video just to give you an update. You know, this thing is spreading, even though they say it's not easily spread. But why is it every time I look at the news, another person has it who wasn't even on the ship? They flew on a plane, but you can only get through certain ways. Just not adding up, but it's adding up all at the same time. Hit the like, leave a comment, and share the video. Look at how the WEF and all the elites are standing outside the bus with all the quarantined passengers on there for a photo op. This is where we are.
I know you missed this one. So this is what we're up against in 2026. Time travelers. Read that post. 2022. And just so we're clear, I did double check this myself. Buddy predicted in 2022 that the coronavirus would be done in 2023, and in 2026 we'd be dealing with this new one. Now we're either dealing with one of two things here. It's either we're dealing with time travelers, or we're dealing with an elaborate plan that was set in motion a long time ago.
I'll say this with a little bit of warning. We're going to have to, as Americans, get our information from other countries because our country has other plans. And if we want to stay in the loop, stop searching the U.S. news and search the world news. That's a tip. If you're tired of the news and hearing the same thing, you really want to know what's going on out here, search world news.
Here's to the good days, here's to the sorrows. If this is a mistake, I know about tomorrow.